Welcome into a live podcast, the Fourth and Winges podcast with Mark and Rob. How are you doing, Rob?
I'm good, mate. Got just about over the excitement of Eurovision. So
just about.
Yeah. I've not felt the need to rewatch any of it though, but it was, a good night. It was a good
night. I'm just not happy the fact that the 1 year that I decided to bet on us coming last, we come second.
I mean, as we said last night, Germany were robbed, weren't they?
Absolutely they were. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Eurovision, are we? Sadly. This is as we did last year. This is our annual rookie draft in our Sleeper Dynasty League. We've decided to do a live stream whilst we do that. So we're due to kick off in about 10 minutes in the draft. So come on a little bit early just to have a bit of a chinwag, and then we'll see where we go from there. And you'll be on the clock at number one. So anything you want to talk about? Anything you obviously didn't start there. You didn't finish last year. That was somebody else's honour, but you've traded up to one. So yeah.
I think I've owned every pick in the first round at some point. To be honest, I was looking at my litany of trades. Where did I came fourth? So I started off with the finished with the 107.
Yeah.
And then through some trades at various points, I had the 110. I think I eventually gave it the 107 for Cam Akers and Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders and 107 for Cam Akers. Had the 110, then I moved it with Tom with a couple of draft picks, and I moved it with Ashworth, swapping Henderson for Pollard to get to 106. Then there was a ridiculous trade that I was honestly genuinely laid in bed. Gaz and I had been chatting just and he was like, "Oh yeah, move it to 101." I was like, "Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think I can afford it. I don't think I need to." And then I was just laid there and I went, And then it wouldn't stop sort of niggling at me. So it came up with Travis Etienne, DJ Moore for 101, 201 and Alan Robinson. I just, once I'd thought of it, I couldn't get it out of my mind, to be honest. And I wasn't sure I should do it. So I texted Gaz and was saying, got this trade, what do you think? And we just had a little bit of a chat, and he basically said throw in the 310 and I think I'd do it. And then we both had a massive panic for about 3 or 4 hours while we realised if we did actually want to do it or not. And then it came off. So my rationale was I've always liked Alan Robinson, always rated him, especially when he was at Jacksonville. I think he's a really good receiver, top receiver. I think he's been wasted a bit of the Bears, obviously with some terrible quarterback play over the years. Yeah. He's gone to LA now, to the Rams. Fresh start, decent quarterback. I felt like maybe giving up more to move down to him wasn't a massive drop off, especially given the troubles that Carolina have getting a new quarterback in. Are they going to start Sam Darnold? I don't know. I wouldn't surprise me if they sort of ended with Baker Mayfield or something, to be honest. Matt Corral's obviously there. But I just thought DJ Moore's a fantastic receiver, but if nobody can get the ball to him like last season, I think he got 4 touchdowns, did very well in that offense, but I thought could move off him here. I kept my 106 that I had. And then obviously giving up Travis Etienne as well. Being a Jags fan, I thought if he's terrible, I can cope with it. But if he's terrible for me in fantasy and for me in real life, I think it's going to send me over the edge. Obviously, he's coming off an injury. James Robinson's there. Doug Peterson's track record with sort of RBs from a fantasy standpoint isn't great. So once the opportunity presented itself, I kind of saw it as ETN for Breece Hall. And I know, Robert Saleh potentially, Shanahan acolyte. Michael Carter's already there, but take the risk and kind of pick up that number one player potentially. And then keep that 106 and get one of the top wideouts to replace DJ Moore whilst getting Robinson as well. And then obviously since then, you and I had a conversation about you potentially moving up to 106, which fair to say we couldn't agree on. We valued slightly differently. The various trade engines we were using valued slightly differently.
That's it, isn't it? It's. I've ended up at the 109. I think I started at the 106, and I've gone back or out and then back in, and then I would like to. I think I can get a very, very good player at 109. I know who I'll probably end up taking, but I wanted to try and push up and get somebody else, and I've just been shot down every time I've attempted to trade with anybody. So we'll see what falls my way and see what happens. I'm just thinking Oh, you're on mute, mate. You've put yourself on mute, I think.
No, yes, I have. Sorry.
Oh,
no, I was just saying, just see what happens.
Yeah, well, exactly. And we've had a few people. A few people are clearly watching so far. Chrissy said hello.
Hello. Not seen it for a
while. Adam's on as well. Hi, Adam. And then I'm pretty sure this is Kutch. I think. I think I remember that from last year.
Yeah, I think I
have a YouTube account of his own. So yes, Adam, it was a Christmas present. I was obviously banging on last year about how much I loved Zach Wilson, and Chrissy very generously bought me one for Christmas. So, and she's been complaining that I've not worn it yet. So I've decided to wear it today. So yeah. Right, I'll pull up the draft board so we can see that. Hopefully it works okay. Let me might try this view actually, see if that's a bit better. For starters anyway. So yeah, you're going to be on the clock in a couple of minutes. Rob, is it safe to say that I know where you're going with this?
Well, I think I just sort of gave it away, didn't I? Everybody knows where I'm going. I don't see that there's any real argument to take anybody other than Breece Hall. I guess if you fell in love with one of the receivers, you could potentially make an argument for that. But with having 101 and 103, I'm pretty comfortable that I know what Tom's probably going to do. So I think if the ball falls away I want it to, then I'll probably end up being quite happy anyway. So
yeah,
without giving too much away.
Yeah,
you never know.
You never know. Somebody might send you a wild and wacky trade offer.
Well, I've had some wild and wacky ones already today, so we'll see if that continues. Couldn't quite get it over the line, but yeah.
Well, there's most people are, I think, on now. Looking at this, Ash, I think he's working, isn't he? So he might be on and off, I guess. I don't know. I think Girth as well was potentially not going to be on for the entire sort of session, if you like. So we'll just have to see what happens.
It'll be fine, yeah.
But yeah, as you say, I'm sure it'll be fine. So have you done a couple of other rookie drafts? We're obviously in another league together, which we've had the draft for last weekend, and you were at 101 in that one as well, right? And
yes, I was actually. Yeah.
And you took Breece in that. Have you been in any other ones?
Yeah, I've had one other one as well, and so in the other one I was in, Breece Hall went 101. That wasn't my pick, but everyone I've been in, Breece Hall's gone 101. So right. I've not seen anything crazy.
No.
Maybe tonight's the night we see something crazy.
I'm sure somebody will do something crazy.
We will see. But no, it's been quite interesting doing the other drafts kind of in preparation for this. I've got a little sort of spreadsheet of where people went in the other drafts, just as a sort of rough idea. I've kind of made notes of sort of potentially where there's a couple of people I might be targeting. I could potentially try and pick them out. So
yeah, well, you see, this is the thing, isn't it? I'd love to sit here and chat about our rankings and this, that, and the other, but obviously with the people in our league watching, hopefully, then that makes that a little bit difficult. So I think we'll like we did last year, we'll maybe comment as and when people come off the board as to where we maybe had them.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, yeah.
And then we'll kind of try and tackle it a little bit like that. And see how it goes. I'm interested again to see where the defensive players go, because you know you can do all the prep you do sort of in the off season or whatever leading up to the draft. But if you're using kind of different sites out there, the very few of them even have defensive players in. So all the rankings you see are all offensive, and it's where do you slip the defensive players in? I think it's fascinating to me, but.
I mean, we could talk about that sort of afterwards, and maybe when they start going off the board. I mean, there is a point that I would be willing to take an IDP, and who knows where that ties in with other people. But yeah, we can talk that through, because you're right, that is a big thing. Oh, Does that mean we've started?
Yep, I've literally just kicked it off. So
Right.
feel free to, take your 10 minutes and wait for draft trades to come in, as people do. Or
didn't the Detroit Lions get in trouble for being too quick with their Aidan Hutchinson pick off the actual NFL? And,
really? What, for not building up the drama enough?
Yeah.
It was blatantly obvious, wasn't it, what they were going to do when your Jags decided to make a very strange decision. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's not who I would have taken, but
no,
I'm sure Trent Baalke knows more about American football than I do, to be honest. And if they've scattered these players and that's what he likes, then who am I to disagree with it, really? See how it plays out. But yeah, I mean, I certainly wouldn't have gone there. I think we probably disagree on this, but I'd have probably taken.
You said you'd gone off offensive line, wouldn't you?
I'd have probably taken Evan Neal. To be fair, I know it would have been a reach. I know it wouldn't possibly have been the greatest pick, but Trayvon Walker was a reach, and I'd have rather just protected Trevor Lawrence. I don't think we've really done anything to help Trevor Lawrence.
No, I think you guys have fallen into the same trap that the Chiefs did when we had the number one pick a while back, and it was Eric Fisher and Luke Jokel, I think, were the two tackles at the top, and that was kind of it. And I think, bad year potentially for a team that that's picking number one. I think nobody was going to trade up there, so you were left to pick, and maybe you didn't really want to do that, but yeah.
Oh, and so back to me straight away.
I'm very glad that as will Chrissy be, I think, that Tom did in fact pick Kenneth Walker, because he made a trade up to number 2 with Chrissy, and she was umming and ahhing about it and saying to me, what do I think? And I was giving my opinion as such and whatnot, and I said, yeah, if you don't want to pick Walker, and that's, I said try and find out who he's going up to get, because then at least you've got more information, haven't you, as to whether you want to trade out or not. And she didn't want Walker, so it was
I've been talking to Mr. Mellor today, and I knew that was going to be the pick, so we're all good.
Yeah, no, as I said, I thought it was going to be as well. So 1-2, the 2 running backs, as is happening, as is often the case in fantasy football rookie drafts, especially if they're half decent. Personally, I think Walker's a very good player, but I don't personally feel Seattle's a great place for him. Just in the sense that I don't know that offensive line. I know they've done quite a bit this off season, haven't they, to kind of help with the offensive line. But I don't know. There's just something about Seattle that scares me from a fantasy football perspective. I don't think I have any Seahawks, and it's mainly because I just don't trust that offense, to be honest. So I think I would have stayed away from Walker personally, but.
Can I raise what I feel is an important point about Kenneth Walker III?
Go on.
Sleeper has renamed him Ken. Where's that come from? Does he want to be called Ken? I'll be honest, Ken Walker does not sound like an NFL player.
No, and if they haven't renamed him Ken, then surely they've dropped the I, because then he won't be. Because if his dad's Kenneth Walker and his granddad's Kenneth Walker and he's now Ken, he should just be Ken Walker without the I, right?
It should really be, shouldn't it? Yeah, it's all very strange.
Answering all the topical questions here.
I am genuinely in a bit of a quandary now, though. I know I traded up to here, and this is what I wanted. I wanted my top pick of all the wideouts, but
you now don't know who that is.
I've never really known who it is. It's between 2. I was hard after 1 very early on in the process, and then as the stuff's come out and as things have changed and as the drafts happen, I've kind of moved away from them slightly. Hence the trade up to wanting to get something a bit different. I mean, I could say who that was. I don't think that's giving anything away, is it? I don't think that matters.
I don't think so.
It doesn't impact anybody.
I think I know who you're talking about anyway, and but yeah. So you're talking about picking somebody different to whom you've already picked in another league.
Well, potentially. So I mean, very start of the process, I was all in on Treylon Burks. That was who I wanted all the way through. started watching a bit of it, started reading up on him and everything. It sort of fell a bit in my mind. I think he's landed in a very good situation in Tennessee, though. I think he'll be probably have a very good season this season. I was after that I moved on to Jameson Williams, who I really like the look of. But then when he was drafted by the Detroit Lions, I have never seen somebody look as angry in my life, and his interview afterwards genuinely scared me. I'd have been very happy staying put at 6 and taking him, but that spot isn't great for him, and he genuinely looked like he was not a happy chap. So
I think that's just him generally, from what I've heard. He's a little bit like that. Yeah.
So I did in the other league. I drafted Drake London at 2. So it's between Drake London and Garrett Wilson for me here, really. So I'm still not 100% sure. I think I could sit here till the start of the season and still not be 100% sure. I don't think there's a consensus, is there? And I think, like you, my rankings have flipped and flopped all off season. Interestingly, I'm really looking forward to kind of sharing our positional rankings once we get further down the line, and we can kind of talk about that, because again, it's good to see the difference, because I think there'll be a few discrepancies, a few differences between how we see it this year, which isn't necessarily always the case. We normally have quite an aligned view on things, but I think I've got some very different views on some of these prospects. So I'm very intrigued to know who your 101 is. That apparently, well, you can explain later on, but I'm very intrigued to know who that is. So I'm just gonna have to press this, because otherwise I'm gonna run out of time. I probably should have made this decision before I traded up, but I'm pretty sure I know where I'm going to go. And I think it probably is going to be the same as the other league.
Really?
I've changed my mind so many times. I know I said to you I would do something different in that league to this league, but I'm genuinely so torn. So torn. I kind of wish I hadn't done this now, and somebody else would have just made this decision for me. And if somebody would have just fallen to me, and I could have taken it. Instead of now, if somebody else is better, I'm going to go, I could have taken them. I should have taken them.
Well, the only thing I would say on that is, if somebody else is better and it's the other person, well, if you've taken the same one as the other one, then you're not going to benefit in any league. Whereas if you take the other one, and that's the only way I would think about it.
Yeah. So if in this one, yeah.
But I'm not looking to sway you, obviously, and I don't pick for a while, so there's no kind of ulterior motives here. I think you take who you think.
Yeah, I think I do. Do you know what? Right, I'm quite actually genuinely quite nervous doing this. I mean, I've got 3.5 minutes. I'm genuinely not doing this for any reason to drag it out and try and make it more exciting. I just genuinely am quite torn. I'll just go Chris Olave. That'll be easier.
Just go totally random.
Yeah, I'll just press a random button.
Adam can tell that there's pressure, he says.
He's right.
I genuinely didn't think you would struggle this much.
No, it's doing it.
It's doing it. Sticking to his guns.
Yeah, sticking with it. Apologies, everybody. That was painful.
So Chrissy's on.
I don't know who Chrissy wanted, so maybe I should be apologising to Chrissy. Or maybe she should be thanking me. I don't know.
Well, I think I know where this is going to go, but we'll see. I know there was. I think I said before that she wasn't interested in Walker at 2. I think if he'd have fallen this far, if she'd have been here and fallen this far, then I think it's a different question, it's a different thing. But I think there was a couple of wide receivers, I think, at the top of her board. So I think I know where this is going.
Trying to keep up on the chat in the app as well and everything.
So we've got Prissy up next. Then we've got Tom. Tom's picking again. And then we've got Sean, who moved out from 3 to 6 with you, right?
Yeah.
Was that
correct.
just yesterday? Was that
just yesterday, yeah.
Yeah. And then Girth, and then Ash, and then I pick up 109. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, that was my other one. So yeah, good pick that. I may live to regret that.
Yeah, I think if I were you, as I say, I think because you've got London in the other one, yeah, don't get me wrong. I think if he was fundamentally your number one and you were so confident in it, then take him. But if you were that torn, I think I would have gone Wilson, just because then you've covered both of them, haven't you? But
I think he probably is my number one. Well, he clearly
London.
is. I've picked him twice, London.
Yeah. It must be, because otherwise you wouldn't have done that, I don't think.
No, I wouldn't.
I personally think it's just a great landing spot. Subject to quarterback play, obviously, and we just don't know what that's going to look like. But what I would say on that is, if it's crap this year with Mariota to start with, and it's crap with Ridder, then they'll be picking early again, and it'll get sorted next year. So
yeah, they can get Young, they can get Stroud, they can get whoever next year.
So I think long term, I think it's a really good spot for him because there's just nobody else there apart from Pitts. So
Treylon Burks.
But yeah, see, Burks is a really interesting thing because, as you touched on before, you said that he was your kind of number one player for a long time, wasn't he? Sort of leading up to maybe February, March time.
Yeah.
And I think there was, from what I heard, there was some weight concerns and just general kind of attitude and.
Oh, we're cooking on gas now. Sean, I said, wow, this is.
So I think Burks did fall down, a number of draft boards, and I also sort of had him up the top to start with, but he kind of fell down my ranking a little bit as well. So, yeah. So it's interesting that I think it would be really interesting to see what he does, because again, in theory, it's a really good landing spot because he's not got a lot of competition. But then again, how much are they going to rely on the passing game in Tennessee? That's my question. So we've got gone Treylon Burks at the 105, and then Sean, having traded back from 103 to 106 and got a better second round pick in that trade, he's taken Isaiah Spiller, who landed at the Chargers, right?
Yeah, see, Spiller's interesting to me. He was sort of consensus number 2 running back for quite a long time in the process, and I think he dropped after the combine, didn't he? But I think he's, on the face of it, he's in a bad situation. But actually, I think the Chargers have been searching for a second running back for quite a while now to take some of the pressure off Eckler.
Damn you!
Very good, but Eckler's 27 years old, and I could see him taking over that backfield.
Yeah,
could have taken your player.
Right. I can start talking about my rankings now. Olave was my number 2 wide receiver.
Right. I thought in my head he was.
And that's who I've been trying. That's who I've been trying to get up the draft board to try and take.
And when Spiller, very close.
And when Spiller's gone in the top 6, which I haven't seen in the leagues and the drafts that I've seen.
Yeah.
I was just fingers crossed, hoping that Ash or Girth were going to take a quarterback. Oh, feels a bit sick now. Right. Okay. I have now got a very interesting decision, because I'll just put it out there for anybody who is watching. If anybody's interested in this pick, please get in touch in the next couple of minutes, because I don't want to make this pick. So if somebody wants it, I am most certainly open to an offer.
Drop it in the chat as well, Matt, just for those that aren't watching.
Yeah, for me, after London, Hall, and Olave, there is a little bit of a drop off for me.
Yeah.
Outside of who I've got at my 101, and that's the dilemma I've got. I've got a 101 that nobody else will have. I can guarantee that. But I genuinely think I can get him in the next round. Yeah. So I'm doing that thing. I don't want to do that thing that the Raiders do, where the Raiders value somebody really highly, and other people don't, and pick them in the first round, and then they turn out to be shit. And if at least I'd get them in the second round, then if they're shit, then that's fine. But what I don't want to do is pick him up here, and he is in fact shit, and my scouting's rubbish, and I've wasted a first round pick. So I'm going to wait on
It's
him.
a he, then we know that much.
It is a he, yes.
Yeah.
This is really tough. I think I know.
I won't tell you who I would have taken, but
well, I think I know what I'm going to do, because, as I say, I'm going to wait on my 101 and hope that he comes back round to me in the second round.
Where do you pick in the second round?
2-6.
Okay.
So there's 7 or 8 spots he's got to go after this one in order for him to come back round, which I hope he will do.
Adam might have sent you something.
Let's have a quick look.
Live reaction now.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. So somebody sent me a trade. That doesn't mean to say that the trade, because everyone knows my despair and the fact that I don't want to pick him.
Yeah, you probably should.
They're not exactly going to give me a stunning offer, are they? Let's be honest. But what have we got? Yeah, I can't. I basically there's a number of picks here that he's offered me, but they don't start until the third round. So I don't really want to move out entirely. Ideally, if I could move back 3 or 4 spots, that's what I'd want to do, rather than moving out entirely from this pick. So I think what I'm going to have to do is go ahead and take the person that's at the top of my kind of second tier, my second sort of tier of players here. And
ironically enough, this is Adam's pick. So
originally, yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take this player. If
it's the same person I would have taken. Tension.
It won't. Let me just. It's not letting me pick anybody.
Maybe that's telling you something.
Bear with me a second, guys. No, it doesn't want to do anything. Okay, I'll go over here then.
Oh, yeah, that is it.
Yeah, I've taken Sky Moore in the other league I'm in, and got him a little bit later.
111, I think, in the other league.
111, yeah. So a couple of picks later. I'm more than happy to have him on my team. I think there's huge opportunity for him. Obviously in Kansas City, and being a Chiefs fan, I think obviously it will be good to kind of watch him and be able to cheer him on as well. So I'm not like disappointed as such, but I'm gutted that I didn't manage to land Olave. I really am.
Well, James Cook off the board.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know about you, but he's been the kind of consensus side 3-4. Well, in the leagues I've seen, he's been the consensus number 3 running back, but certainly hasn't got further than the 4th running back. And not surprised at all that he's been taken early again.
I mean, funnily enough, where do you think James Cook was on my list?
On your board?
Yeah.
Quite a way down.
Yeah, he was 19 on my board. I just worry about the situation. I worry about Josh Allen vulturing touchdowns. I worry the fact that they've had Devin Singletary and Zach Moss there, and they've never had a sort of major running game going on for quite a while now.
Do you know where he was on my board?
3rd round.
He's not on my board.
Oh, really? Right, okay.
Yeah, there's certain players, if I just don't feel anything and I know they're going to go earlier than what I'd be prepared to pick them, then I just don't bother.
Yeah, fair enough.
If
he slid to the 3rd, I would have taken him. But
there's always kind of a point in time, isn't there, where you would take them, but he's not necessarily. Yeah, he's not on my board. I think.
What's your favourite pick of round 1 then, Mark?
My favourite pick?
Yeah. Be Chris Olave.
Well, yeah, I think so because he's my number 3 player. I think
Okay.
Olave. So I think to get him at 108 is my favourite pick.
I think it's hard to argue with that. Christian Watson. Yeah, he'd have been. I think was he my next? No, he wasn't actually, but not far off.
Yeah, I think the potential's there. I think it scares me a little bit that he played in FCS level, but the athleticism's there and the opportunity. He's got a great quarterback. I think for me, he screams boom or bust. I think he's either going to be fantastic, or he'll kind of fizzle out and not do a lot. And it's one of those. I can't kind of see him being mediocre. I think he's going to be one or the other.
I mean, the situation's interesting, isn't it? It's like you say, he's a fantastic quarterback, but he sometimes just doesn't throw the balls to rookies to see his
no.
Oh, Tyler Allgeier going off the board early. BYU.
Interesting. I mean, I'm a big fan, and as we said last year, I think obviously Chrissy has to put up with a lot of my video watching and scouting and chatting about this kind of shit. So she will obviously use a lot of stuff that I talk about. So her board will be very similar to mine, I'm sure. And I'm a huge Allgeier fan. I watched a lot of him last year, not the season, just before, because obviously he played for BYU where Zach Wilson played, and he stood out that season. He was fantastic. And then I think he had another really good season in terms of touchdowns this last year. And I think he's gone into a great situation in Atlanta. I got Allgeier in our Devy League a little bit later on, but still
first pick of the third round, I think.
But still, I think it's he's got a real opportunity there in Atlanta.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean there's who's Damian Williams. It's there. Darrell Williams.
Damian Williams, the ex-Chief, and that's it. I think.
There's not
any real talent. So I think he could quite easily be the number 1 back there by the end of the season. Easily.
It's a great situation.
Yeah,
definitely a great situation, and give it a sort of need at running back. It's a good pick. Oh, and there goes Hutch. There he goes.
Knew it was going to happen. I knew Sean was going to take him at some point.
I'm glad he took him there because if I were you, Sean, I wouldn't have thought he'd have lasted much longer, really. So
he's not getting back round to you in the second round, probably.
No.
Third round, sorry. And I know he was kind of desperate to get him. So
I had Hutch as the 11th player on my board, actually. So I'm more than happy taking him there. I think that's it's a good pick.
Yeah.
No arguments from me with that one. I think the good thing from Sean's point of view, I think, and I would say that, well, I mean, I don't care if people benefit from my trades or not, but I think what it's given Sean there is he's moved back. He's got an additional pick in the second, and he's still been able to go and get his guy with his with his 13th pick. So I'm glad that worked out for him there.
Yeah.
Chrissy and I had some interesting conversations over the barbecue last night when you and Kath were off exploring the woods. So
I'm not even going to bother asking.
He's on the clock now. Kutch's on the clock, so this is Kutch's first pick, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think Gareth's saying that we've had some interesting picks so far. Which picks are you talking about, Gareth? What stood out? I think I'm assuming that there's a couple of players that have gone a bit higher than he was expecting, or whether it's the lack of quarterback or something. I don't know. It's interesting in our you're on. Oh yeah, you are on. So in the Devy League, where do you remember where Pickett went? How
Pickett was in the Pickens.
Pickett. Kenny
Pickett. Yes, if you give me 2 seconds. Pickett went 203.
Right. Okay. So
hold on. That might have been. I'm in multiple leagues. Which ones? Which here? No, Pickett. Yeah, 203. Yeah, Pickett,
yeah. I thought it was sort of early second round, and because it's a really interesting one with the quarterbacks because, obviously we're a single quarterback league, so most of us have probably got a starter that we're quite comfortable with, and therefore there's no real reason to scramble for a quarterback. But, and again, everybody will presumably have very differing opinions on these quarterbacks, like in real life. So there's somebody I've got my eye on a little bit later in the draft if he happens to fall that far. But if he doesn't, I'm really not going to be bothered about not getting a quarterback this year.
Well, I think I know who yours is, and I think you know who mine is. But likewise, I'm not too bothered either.
No. If it happens, it happens. So then we've got Pickens going. Kutch has taken George Pickens.
I think a couple of years ago, Pickens was the. We're lucky if you'd have been picking in Devy, you'd have been taking in 101 in your Devy drafts because he was.
His freshman season. His freshman season, he was amazing. And then I think he struggled a little bit with injuries, hasn't he? Obviously got that injury at the start of last season, I think, potentially, and then obviously came back for the last couple of games or whatever. And
could be a great value pick. That I think that higher in other leagues.
Yeah, I've seen him go 106, 107 in some leagues that I've kind of watched and heard about. So I think great value
in the other two I've been involved in. So that sort of range.
Yeah, so it's really good value on that point of view. I think my only concern with him is not him as a player, but it's just Pittsburgh. Obviously, they've got Pickett. What's he going to do? But also, not only that, he's fighting for targets against. What's the
Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool. They also drafted Calvin Austin.
Yeah, and then also they've got Freiermuth as well, who looked very good last year as a rookie. So I think he unless he kind of comes out and balls out, there might be a little bit of competition there. But I think he is a good player. And as I said, there's definite value there from what I've seen elsewhere, for sure.
Yeah, definitely, Coach. Great pick that. And Gaz, early running back pick. So
I think that's running backs will always go early in fantasy.
Yeah.
Football. That's because there aren't that many great running backs out there, and that's always the dilemma, isn't it? If people aren't rating the running backs, then do you just get them because you need to keep kind of going, getting new players at running back because they only have such a small time span, or do you trust the fact that you just don't think they're as good as in some years? I think for me, next year's draft is quarterbacks, running backs. That's what next year's draft is all about. And
wideouts. I mean,
I'm not as high. I think there's some very, very good ones up at the top, but I don't think it's anywhere near as deep as it has been the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Whereas running back next year, I think there's six that will go very, very early. And I think there could be 5 or 6 quarterbacks as well. So I think, if you didn't see a wide receiver in the first round of drafts next year, it wouldn't surprise me. That's how kind of heavy I think it is on running backs and quarterbacks. So I think in a way, I'm kind of sat here thinking maybe this is the year you don't, you get your wide receivers and then you wait till next year to get your running backs and quarterbacks potentially. But we'll see. So Tom, I think he's back on. So he's taken Kenneth Walker, Treylon Burks so far, and James Cook. And
Dotson, that's a great pick. He was very high on my board. I'm surprised he's lasted that long.
He was the other person that if I was to go somewhere else, if I was to have gone somewhere else, if you'd have said to me you can't take Sky Moore because you've taken him in another league, I would have taken Dotson there at 1-9.
I had Dotson as my 9th overall prospect. So,
I think that's a great pick.
I like his situation as well. I know a lot of people don't, but he's got Terry McLaurin, but he's potentially in a contract year. There's not really too much of the competition there. I think Carson Wentz, for all his faults, he can get the ball to people, and Washington will still be looking for a quarterback potentially. And I understand the situation matters, but this is dynasty. We're not necessarily talking the next year, even the next 2 years. It's kind of that longer term view, isn't it? So I think Dotson could be a really good player in this league for a number of years. So
I agree. I think now might be the time where you find out who my 101 is on my board.
Okay. Have you taken them in another draft?
No.
Okay.
No. And this is where everyone's going to think I'm absolutely crazy. But he's my 101. He's my 101, and he has been at the top of my board since about game 3 of last year's college season. He's a running back, which I bet you didn't think. And he plays for Arizona State, or played for Arizona State. and I will go ahead and put everybody out of the misery.
Wow.
So yeah, Rashad White. I think he at the start of when I started doing all the kind of my scouting stuff, middle of the season, and I was hearing people going, "Oh yeah, he's really, really good. He's gonna, he's a really good player." Blah blah blah. And I thought, okay, yeah, I've got this one right. And then we got into like the off season, and he just seemed to go down and down and down everybody's rankings. And there was talk of him in the fantasy community not even being a viable fantasy player, and he was going to go in rounds 5 through 7 of the draft. And I'm sat there thinking, am I watching a different player here? And then lo and behold, he goes in the 3rd round of the actual draft, and to Tampa Bay, where personally I think it was a great situation for him to land in, because he's a pass catching back over like he's better in the passing game than the running game. And I think with Brady, if he can prove to Brady that he can block and he can catch the ball, which I believe he can very well.
Yeah, he's a very good receiving back, isn't he?
I think he'll see a lot of. He could potentially see a lot of time. So yeah, he was my 101. As crazy as that may sound.
I think you've got good value there, though, because I took him 202 in a different league, and he went 201 in the Devi League. So, yeah, I mean, he's probably not the number one prospect, but I think it's a great spot to take him at.
Well, this is the thing. If I go and take him at 108, 109 in here, who am I left with to pick now? And it's just that's the thing that sometimes teams do wrong, is the thing you've got to look at the consensus board and have an understanding of what other people think, so that you can maximize what definitely. You then think of a certain person. So anyway, so then we've got David Ajabo go at the 2-7. So this is an interesting one for me, because I think Sean took him in the Devi League, if I'm not mistaken. And I had a chat with Sean about that, and just sort of saying that I do think he's a very, very good player, but obviously, I don't think he's going to probably play for a year potentially. And I know this is kind of obviously dynasty league, and therefore it's not all about year one and all of that. But I don't know, it's an interesting one, and it's early. I'd like to get Tom's thoughts on that, really.
Yeah, I thought, and Damian Pierce, I thought he would go early as well, because it's very similar to Al-Jair. He's gone into a very good situation there in Houston. There's no other clear sort of running backs there. It's it's my turn. Sorry.
Yeah.
So it's a very empty backfield. There's Marlon Mack there, I think. He wasn't really played for a couple of seasons following injury, so it's his job to lose.
Absolutely.
And the first quarterback's gone off the board.
Yeah, I think if I'd have been able to trade down out of that 109 and maybe pick up an extra second rounder, I think Pierce would have been one of my targets at the back end of the second round. Yeah. I think he's got a really good opportunity there. So I think that's a great pick again by Ash.
Absolutely, totally agree.
And then, quarterback. There we go. Back end of round 2. For me, that's probably the right sort of area for the only quarterback that got first round draft capital.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he's not on my board, but that's not to say that that's not a decent pick. I just wouldn't have drafted him.
He's the only quarterback in this draft that's going to start day one. That's going to go one of two ways. So I think, it's now interesting to see if another quarterback goes, and if they do, where. Because again, it's a bit of a crapshoot at this point, isn't it? Who's going to next? I know who I think's going to get in next, in terms of who's going to start an NFL job. Start an NFL game next after Pickett. But whether that translates to anything in fantasy will be something else. So you're back on the clock at 2:10. So what are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking it. I've got a slight sort of quandary here, not as big as my quandary in the previous pick, but this is. I mean, some of my top IDP players are still remaining. So, but then again, a couple of my top receivers are still remaining. So it's do I choose to get probably one of the premium defensive players, or do I wait?
Yeah.
And do I pick up a wide out? Because I think there's still plenty of good value here actually. if I'm honest, it's probably between two players here. There is a glaring one that is still on the board that I am very, very, very interested in.
Offensive or defensive?
Defensive. In fact, there's two defensive that I'm very, very interested in.
Okay.
And then offensively, there's two that I'm also very, very interested in as well. I think I was not expecting them to fall to here. This wouldn't have been when I was sort of trying to map this out in my mind, I had somebody else sort of slotted in here. But given that they've fallen, I think I'm going to have to go ahead and draft.
Right. When you said there were two defensive players, I thought him and another. I think he wasn't my number one edge.
He wasn't my number one edge.
Or my number two edge. But not because he's not very good at that. I think I don't know, that whole thing of him. Does he take players off? Is he going to do enough in the running game to therefore stay on the pitch and things like that? I think he's going to get sacks. It's as simple as that, because he's a very good edge rusher. He's very good at getting to the quarterback. But I don't know if he's kind of all round. Well, his all round game doesn't exist yet for me. But I think if they get it out of him, he could be a beast. And it worries me that he went to New York, because obviously I'm a big fan of Ojulari. And he's obviously the edge rusher on the other side, or he may even end up taking his job potentially. Who knows? It's interesting that he went to New York.
I've just put a message in the group, but if anybody doesn't want to pick here, I'd be interested in picking up another pick in this sort of area.
Yeah, see, this is the thing now, isn't it? Is there value on your board, and does anybody want to move up at this point? Because there's a couple of people that I'd probably be very interested in here as well. This is where the stream goes very quiet for a while.
I'm just doing some feelers out. Yeah. He's in the draft room, so we'll see what he says.
I think,
I think there's really good value here. So I had Thibodeau was 12 on my board, just for
right. Let's have a look. See where he was on mine. 17 on mine.
Right. Okay. So not too dissimilar then.
No. So definitely value there at 20. So
I'm happy with that.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because I think, again, there's potential that I see a couple of the edge a little bit different to the consensus, I think.
I think you, without speaking in riddles, I think, in fact, I can put it in the private chat.
There's a couple of people at edge and a couple of people at linebacker that I think I'm higher on than the consensus. So again, I might end up
It is going to go quiet now.
Why are you trying to trade?
Just seeing.
Alex Pierce has gone. Girth's taken him at the 301. So again, another interesting one for me. I think he's landed in a good spot in Indianapolis, and there's the potential for him to have an impact fairly early. But I'm not quite sure where I am on him as a player. At times, he looked fantastic in games I watched him in, and then in other games, he literally disappeared. Like he would just disappear for a full half, and he would not even be in the game. So I don't know whether that's because of the level that he played at, in terms of it being Cincinnati, and they could just, in a lot of ways, they could just run the ball and manage the games, win the games. etc., etc. Oh, great pick, Chrissy. So I'm a bit unsure about Pierce. It's around about the location I had him on my board, I think. So I think it's decent value, but I'm not quite sure where I am on him. I think I'm a little bit scared of him, to be honest. So we've got the first tight end going off the board, Trey McBride at 302. Consensus number one tight end from what I've seen and read. In what a lot of people don't consider to be a very strong tight end class necessarily. Yeah. And certainly, I think when did what's he called? Atlanta didn't Pitts go 101 in our rookie draft last year?
Yes.
So that shows you the kind of difference in what people think of Pitts compared to like the tight end class this year. But I do think it's a really good pick. I think he's a good player, and I think he might, he's got the opportunity, I think, to do well in Arizona.
Yeah.
I think he's a little bit of a crowded tight end room to a point. Have they got who's the number one tight end there that came from the Eagles? Is it Ertz?
Zach Ertz is there, yeah. Is it Max Williams still there?
Max Williams, who I was really high on coming out of college, but he hasn't really lived up to that since he's been in the league. But I think in Arizona he's really liked. So I think it'll be interesting to see how early Trey McBride gets on the field. But I think once he does, I think he's got a chance to play well.
Yeah. If you don't want to make this pick again, give us a shout.
Sean's gone defense again with the 303. Kyle Hamilton. Safety, obviously, Notre Dame, who's gone to Baltimore. I think as a player, I think he's a great player, and he plays at a position. If you're going to take a defensive back in fantasy, safety is probably the play you make, just because they tend to score more points. And I think he's got every chance playing in Baltimore to kind of do well.
He would have been my next pick, to be perfect.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do really like Kyle Hamilton.
I think he's a great player. I think he was number 50 on my board.
Really? Right, okay.
But just again, because of positional value in fantasy, I think
he was number 15 on my board.
Yeah, no, I just don't value defensive backs in fantasy. I just think you just don't know week to week what they're going to give you, and I think you can get that value personally on the cheap.
I was just looking at what Derwin James has been doing, and I think trying to get a premium sort of player at that position is very, very difficult. So yeah, I'd messaged Sean and asked him if he'd give it up, and he said, "I'm just wanting to take Hamilton, but I'll trade any other ones." I was
like, there you go. Great minds think alike, eh?
There you go. You see. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I'm just going to mute myself.
Okay, I think that might be that. I think Kutch might be making a phone call to Rob. Maybe not. No, Kutch has gone ahead and picked.
He's gone and picked. He wants this pick, which it's a fair offer, Kutch, but I'm quite happy standing pat here and picking. If anything, I'd like to still acquire another one in this round, really. Some interesting options now, to be fair. It is funny, isn't it? Because in your mind, you expect things to play out one way. You go through your board, you put stuff down, you sort of participate in other drafts, you do some mock drafts, and you think things are going to fall a certain way, and then invariably they don't. So I've still got some defensive players that are on my board at this point that I'd be very happy taking. I have a wide receiver on my board that I'd be very, very happy taking. So I guess it's, do I want another wide receiver or do I go defense? And I think probably my wide receiver room is maybe full enough. Yeah, sorry, Coach, that is a fair offer, but I'm going to decline it because I do want to pick. So sorry, I'm now just looking at my team. And
no, that's okay. It's wide receiver or it's a defensive player, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm assuming you wanted to try and get that pick from Kutch so you could take one of or both of those.
So I could take both, basically, yeah. So I'm not going to say who it is, who it's between, because obviously,
yeah.
You might be you might be thinking the same. Incidentally, Mark, if you're up for trading out of 3-6, then I'd be interested.
I think there's I think there's a couple of people. I think this is where I've got a bit of a chasm on my rankings coming up very shortly, where I kind of go. I had 3 or 4 people up at the top, and then there was a bit of a tier gap, and then you had maybe about 10 players, and I think there's only one of them left to me, and then I think there's another fairly substantial gap in my rankings. So I think depending on what you do now will probably dictate what I do next. Because
I don't pick for quite a while now, which is my other problem. Not problem. It's quite a it's it's fine, but I'd be very keen to acquire another pick here. God, I'm so indecisive. This is absolutely every pick's been just a trial, I would say.
Well, I'll just talk whilst you have a think. So Kyron Williams has just gone at the 3 or 4, which again is another, for me, it's another really interesting pick, because if anybody watches him, Kyron Williams, in college, he looks like an absolute stud. I watched him, and early doors he was so high on my rankings, and then as the kind of season finished, and then you get into the pre-draft, he's just kind of sunk in everything that I've kind of heard. His value has just gone down and down and down and down and down, and so in my mind, I'm kind of sat here thinking, well, surely you've got to value the tape more than you value somebody running at a combine or jumping at a combine or whatever. But then you think, well, no, the NFL teams do this for a living. And where did he get picked? 6th round?
Yeah, it was like, wasn't it? I had him very high to begin with as well, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's a really, really interesting one. I think he's undersized and he's not the quickest and all of that. But just from a pure player point of view, he kind of reminded me a little bit of like a Darren Sproles in that, that kind of undersized kind of pass catching back that could do a bit of returning and all that kind of thing. So I think there's a lot of intrigue with Kyron Williams. I'm kind of probably not somebody who I would have picked quite that early, but somebody I would have kind of glad to have got a little bit later and stashed and just seen what happened with him. That's kind of my view on.
I'm going to send you a trade offer, which you won't like because you never do.
Of course.
But if you have a big tier drop off, then I don't know if you might be interested.
Okay.
So I'm just going to send it through and see what you think.
Okay.
So that would involve that. Would I be happy? Let me just check my board.
Because I pick again in a couple of spots anyway. So I think there's a chance that we could do something here because I think there's one person that I would very much be fine taking with my next pick. But if you're looking to get that person, then
I'm pretty sure I know who that person is, but we will see. How long have I got anyway? I'm not going to get timed out here.
You've got 4.5 minutes.
Right, okay.
So hang on. So you want to move out of this pick? Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to move back a few?
Move back a few. Pick up one in the 4th. That was that's what I offered.
Okay. I can do that.
Wow, this is unbelievable.
I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Hang on then. Let me hang on a second. What have I just agreed to here?
Well, nothing yet, I don't think.
Nothing yet. So I'm moving up to here. No, sorry, I've got the wrong end of the stick here. I've misunderstood that. You're going to want that pick.
Let me check what I've actually put.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you want one of my fourth rounders and that one to pick here, right? Yeah, no, I've only got one person that I want to pick here, and I've got 2 picks in this round. No, go on. I'm confident that I don't need that. I don't need that one. Right, that's fine. That should have gone through now. So I'm now on the clock.
Okay.
Sorry about that. It probably wasn't great viewing, guys. Difficult when we're trying to trade with each other. And I'm probably going to surprise you now.
Okay.
Or maybe not.
You picked back to back anyway, Mark, so you're fine.
Yeah. Well, that's my first pick.
Wow.
Where does that noise keep coming from?
It comes from my end, I think. I
knew that. I thought he was who I was probably going to pick, but
really,
yeah. Well, definitely, he was the wide receiver I was talking about.
Yeah. So because I mean, that's what I was saying in terms of if you'd have picked him, I'd have probably wanted out of this pick, thinking then that I had one in a couple more. But I know I'm very, very glad to get him there. And then I think I'm going to do the thing that I did in the other league that was a massive shock to everybody in that league. And I'm going to do it again because I love this player.
On my board.
He's not even on anybody's boards, and I could probably wait.
But I did this last year with Trey McKitty. I think I took him around this time, and he probably wasn't anybody's board, but I loved him. And if you love them and you rate them, that's what it's all about. So
exactly. In this league in particular, I need help at this position massively, and I genuinely think this player could be an absolute legend. So I'm going to go ahead and pick him here. So there we go. People will be now saying, "Who the hell is C. Kohler?" And that's absolutely fine. He was at Iowa State, so I saw a lot of Breece Hall whilst stalking Charlie Kohler, and I think he's got the opportunity. He reminds me of Mark Andrews, and that obviously he's gone to Baltimore with Mark Andrews, and if he could be another Mark Andrews, imagine how deadly that tight end combination could be in Baltimore. I think they're getting rid of wide receivers or not picking up wide receivers in Baltimore because Lamar Jackson likes to throw to his tight ends because he can't throw in accurately, so he needs his big tight ends to catch passes, and therefore I think he could be fantastic in Baltimore. So I'm chuffed to get him again in this league. So yeah.
No, good on you. Got to get you guys. I'm just checking in with Ash to see if he's all right. Oh, he's in. He's in. Cool. Nice one.
Yep.
He's gone with a bit of sauce, has he?
Sauce on a Sunday night. For what it's worth, my number one cornerback in terms of rankings, and in real life, I think he could be fantastic. Again, I worry from a fantasy point of view, personally, but I think he's a great, great player.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, love. I've heard a few interviews with him. He was on the Iran NFL podcast. He was on Inside the Huddle with Sky Sports, and what a guy! After his interview after the draft, I know Rich Eisen was absolutely pumped to have him, and I think he'll fit in very, very well there. I do.
Oh, absolutely.
Really like him as a player. Weirdly enough, for this pick, it was who I was maybe going to pick with the other one. So at this point, I'm quite happy that I've managed to trade back a little bit, pick up a bit more capital, and still take this player. I'm slightly disappointed to miss out on Mechie, but given my previous picks, I felt I could afford to maybe miss out on him there. We will see. So I'm going to go ahead and take
the defensive player you were talking about, yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take the defensive player. I mean, so where I was, I mean, I do really like George Karlaftis, who now plays for the Chiefs as well. I think he's a very good edge player, and he's quite high on my board as well. I possibly could have taken somebody different at 210, let Thibodeau potentially go somewhere else, and then picked up Karlaftis. But I think all in, I'm fairly happy with where this has gone so far. So at this point, I'm going to take the 13th ranked player on my board. And it does give me pause because he plays for one of the worst franchises in the NFL. He is a Jacksonville Jaguar, and his name is Devin Lloyd.
Wow. That's not where I thought you were going with all of that.
I like to build it up a little bit there.
I thought you were basically saying that you were thinking about Karlaftis at 210 and Mechie in the third round, and you decided to go Thibodeau, and then you were going to come back with Karlaftis here. But I think number one linebacker on my board quite clearly, in my view. I think he was, where was he on my rankings? He was number 15 on my board.
Right, okay.
So
very close on that one, isn't it?
So there's huge value there for me. You've got him at 28. Yeah.
I'm very happy with that. I'm very happy with how this has played out, actually. Thank you, Gareth. That's very kind of you.
What's he saying?
Like the pick, Robert. He was one of my top defensive players.
Yeah.
We're using Sunday names, are we?
I think, to be fair, I think he may have been my top defensive player, actually. Let me have a quick look.
So Tom just wants us to give him a shout, and it's back to him, but that's not till round 4, so that's fine.
Okay. Oh, no, he wasn't. He was my second defensive player. But yeah, as I said, definitely good value there. And I think I think it always adds a little bit extra when you're picking players from your own team in terms of you getting him as a Jag. I think if he does well in real life, a bit like me getting Nick Bolton last year at linebacker, I was very pleased to get him in sort of a similar position. I think maybe in the 4th round did I get him last year potentially? I can't remember. Yeah, good. Now Adam's not online looking at this. Have you had any is he around?
I'm fairly comfortable he will pick. He was on the stream earlier, wasn't he? He knows it's happening, so he'll have got the notification, I think. So
yeah. So yeah, interesting. I think, like I said, about that kind of teardrop off for me now. I think my next player that I've got ranked is well, I've got 2. One in the early sort of 5th round ish type thing. So yeah, it's going to be difficult, this next pick of mine, I think. Adam's picked, so he's gone the other Jacksonville Jaguar defender. Picked highly, the number 1 overall pick. Tell us your thoughts on Walker, briefly.
Where was he on my board? I don't even know if I had him on my board, to be honest.
Really?
To be fair, I think that was an oversight on my part because he should be on my board. I don't see him as a typical edge. His college production scares me slightly. Bit of a one-hit wonder, but even that one hit wasn't necessarily incredible. I think a lot like when, was it Arik Armstead that Trent Baalke fell in love with and drafted at San Francisco. So he likes those sort of rangy kind of toolsy players with a high ceiling. So he loves the potential there with Walker. He's clearly a very good athlete. Hopefully it works out. I don't know. I just think we've got to kind of trust our process at this point, and we pay all these people a lot of money, and
I think he like you said, the production wasn't there in college, and it is a bit scary. Part of that, I think, from what I'm hearing, is just because of what he was asked to do or not do. So there's an element of that. I don't think he'll ever be a huge sack person, but that's not to say he can't be a fantastic player, because it's not all about sacks, despite what NFL.com want to try and force down your throat. It's not all about just, somebody gets 20 sacks, they're a fantastic player. No, that's not the case. But even if you go a little bit deeper, he doesn't really get that much pressure either, let alone the sacks. But then that's because, is it because he's kind of playing all along that front, that defensive line?
I see him as a lineman. But then if we see him as an edge and we play him on that edge and he can go from there.
And I don't think he will, because that's not what they did in San Francisco with Eric Armstead, is it? I think he did play inside on like passing downs and things like that. So I think he won't necessarily just be put out there and told to rush the passer. But then again, you don't know. He may end up turning out to be a really good edge rusher because he just wasn't asked to do that in college. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
It will, and I guess you've got like Aaron Donald is, he plays inside and he's not been bad. So
he's been good.
We'll see how it turns out. But yeah, I wish we'd have gone in a different direction. But equally, he's on the Jags now, and hopefully we can pair him with Josh Allen, and we can get some pressure on Matt Ryan, who's not the most mobile at the moment. Get the pressure on Davis Mills, and then Ryan Tannehill. But
you know what I've just realised? 3 of my 4 picks so far have been exactly the same as in the other league. I'm either going to do well or I'm going to suck this year with my rookies.
Wan'Dale Robinson off the board.
Wan'Dale. Giants player. You'd have thought they'd have been a bit scared off by Kadarius Toney, right, from taking that kind of player.
Yeah, you would, really.
Yeah, that's an interesting one for me because, again, you watch the college tape.
I've got 3 picks in a row. He does. Right, okay.
Because you watch the college tape of Wan'Dale Robinson and he's a bit like kind of what I was saying before about Kyren Williams. He looks great, but I don't quite know how that's going to translate to the NFL. A bit like Rondale Moore and Kadarius Toney, who I mentioned.
Yeah.
I'm just a little bit unsure as to whether that will work.
I was the same. It's that undersized sort of,
yeah,
and going to the Giants.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Certainly for this year, I think not a lot of people have faith in the Giants' quarterback situation, do they? So, Adam's picking for a 3rd pick in a row. So, who's he taking? So has he picked before this round? Let me have a quick look. So these were his first 3 picks in the draft, all in a row. Here in the late 3rd, early 4th. So there's one player on my board that's probably, I think anyway, is the biggest value here, and I'm hoping he stretches for another 5 or so picks and comes back round to me at 4-5.
My number 14th ranked player is still available at this point. So
let me see where he is on mine. My 23rd player.
Oh, he's just gone as my number 14 ranked player. Good pick, that Adam. Double dipping on the edge.
I think that's an interesting one. The Carl Aftis pick, because obviously he's a Chief, so I want him to do really well. But I see him as like, again, I don't think he's going to be like a 15 sack person in the league. Yeah. I think he's going to be a great player for us. And it wouldn't surprise me if he played really, really well and got a lot of praise this year. But I don't think he'll be a stats person. I think he's going to be great against the run. I think he's going to get some cleanup sacks and that type of thing. But I don't see him as being necessarily as I say, a high sack person. Again, I want to be wrong in the sense that I want him to do really well for the Chiefs. But I had him a little bit lower down on my board personally.
And then Brian Robinson going.
Yeah, and I think you can clearly see where Chrissy felt her need was.
Yes.
We kind of talked about this before, I think. And I think, she should now have a lot of value at running back there. So probably no need to take any more, Chrissy, if you're still listening. Just a tip.
I did like, I was quite high on Robinson in college. The landing spot's maybe not the greatest for him.
Well, it's
with
interesting.
Gibson there and re-signing McKissick. But
it's interesting you say that, because I personally think he's going to really annoy people who have what's it called that you just mentioned?
Antonio Gibson. I totally agree.
Because I think he's going to end up getting all the touchdowns. I think he's going to get all the goal line work potentially, and he's going to end up eating into that Gibson thing. And I made a play on trying to get Gibson in this league earlier on in the week, and if I because I do think he's very, very good, but the one worry that I would have, as I say, with him is that Robinson does take some of those points away. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. Because Alabama running backs are not necessarily bad unless your name's Trent Richardson. So
yeah, but he went to Cleveland, so
that's true. When Cleveland were an absolute joke.
Yeah, we've got another defensive back off the Sean double dipping at DB as well. Clear to see where Sean thinks his issues are as well.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? I think he's clearly identified that his defensive players needed an upgrade. So, interesting. And that puts me back on the board. And my player that I was talking about has dropped all the way to me. So I am very happy. This is my happy face. My number 23, did I say, player on my board? I think he's gone to a fantastic situation, and he's going to be the number 2 wide receiver on his team through the first few games until one of the wide receivers comes back in Dallas, and that's Jalen Tolbert. I think he could end up being the number 2 wide receiver in Dallas, full stop, but he'll certainly get that opportunity early. I think he's a great player, and I'm very pleased to have been able to snag him in the 4th round, to be honest.
Well, yeah, my 24th ranked player is still there, so I'm very glad I executed that trade with you. Actually, this is again another. It's not actually ticked over on mine. It has now. So this is again another quite an easy pick for me here. I think. I don't know what other people think of him, but again, I think he's landed in quite a good spot. Potentially is the number 2 running back on his team, with the potential to take on the number 1 role next year.
Don't tell me you're going to go where I think you might go now.
Well, I'll just press it and you can see.
Oh no, that's okay. But I do agree what you're saying. I think he could be the number 1 running back next in 2023. I think Jacobs obviously hasn't had his 5th year, has he?
No.
Taken, so he's probably unless he doesn't play well, he's probably going to be the number 1 running back for them in the season after next. So I think there's definite opportunity there for him. So yeah, but no, thankfully it wasn't the player I was when you
message in the private chat, Mark, just to see if you don't have to tell me, but you can if you want.
That's not who I was thinking of either.
Okay, interesting.
There's somebody else that I do rate. I'm not saying I rate him this highly to have gone now, but just when you were saying that it was a running back, he's kind of my next running back on my board. He's probably. I'm hoping again he comes back round to me, but we'll see.
There's still some very interesting players out there for me as well. I think there's still some.
Yeah, I think personally, I think what's happened is there's been more defensive players go than I thought would do to this point, and I think what that has done is left a few people out there potentially that are good value now. Certainly on the consensus board. Gareth's back on the clock.
I was just looking at the comments there. So if you, I don't know if I can do it. I can't, but Gareth Smith. He was my next player, damn you. I'm assuming that's related to Zamir White, Gaz. And then Adam has also put, so are you saying the Raiders made a good pick? And then Kutch does make a good point, because I think he's done his ACL twice. Did it in college. He has had, I think, a year or 2 years of production since then, but that's why he slipped to here. And yeah, I agree. It kind of puts me off. I wouldn't have taken him any earlier than this, really. But when he's fallen and a sort of bit of a punt on a late round running back, I just thought, yeah, why not? Really?
Yeah. I mean, the injury thing, I think ACLs, it's worrying, I suppose, that he's done it twice. Is it the same leg that he's done, or has he done both of them? Because if he's done both of them, I would say I'd be less concerned. Because
I see what you mean, yeah.
If it's the same one that's gone twice, then that worries me that, yeah, is there something fundamentally wrong there? But if he's
one in each knee, one in each knee.
Yeah, so I'm less concerned about that situation because you'd think people, you tend to come back okay these days from ACLs, and I think, I'm not as put off by that.
Cheers, Adam. Adam had chimed in with both as well.
So that's an interesting. Oh, there's another interesting one, right?
Tyler Beatty.
Yeah. See, I've heard really, really, really good things about him. And I know, generally speaking, the fantasy community, I think, are quite high on him, but I never saw it personally.
He also was not on my board.
No, he wasn't on mine, but as I said, I know from a consensus point of view, I think people were quite high on him.
Yeah, I agree, and it's not.
I don't even know who he played for. I don't even know who he played for in college, to be honest. Tyler Beatty.
I don't either. I can.
Let me have a look. I can click on him here, can't I, and find out. Missouri,
right? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't on my board, but that's not that I think it's a terrible pick. I mean, we all know the Ravens like to utilize different running backs. Obviously, burned last year, losing all of their running backs. They've got, obviously, Dobbins is back now. Gus Edwards is back. I mean, I could easily see Beatty surpassing Gus Edwards. So I don't think it's the worst potential spot for him to land in. And at this stage in the draft, if you just want to take a flyer on somebody you believe in, then
exactly. And also, I think it's one of those where, like you say, at this point, it's dark for us, really. Let's be honest with ourselves. We none of us know at this point. So I think just looking, and that's obviously Gareth's first pick in the draft as well. So he probably is doubly gutted that you took his player.
Is that your first pick in the draft? Because you've had so many.
Yeah.
But then I guess you've traded them to me for Moore and ETN, and then there was a trade with Adam as well, wasn't there, earlier today? So yeah, wow, we've gone from having all of the picks to wow.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of landing spot for Beatty, but I think opportunity there, dependent on Dobbins' comeback. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, Tom did want us to give him a shout, actually, which I've failed to do, so I will give him a shout now.
Yeah, I'm glad you remembered. I'd forgotten.
I've just texted him directly now. So
okay, so we're what 4-8. Let's have a look, see if we can ever think about where he might be going. So what's he picked so far?
He's replied. He's back on.
Yep. So far he's picked Kenneth Walker, Treylon Burks, James Cook, Jahan Dotson, David Ojabo. So he's got 2 wideouts, 2 running backs, and a D lineman. So
I like that. He needed, he needed help at a running back, as he said. He's addressed that, with Cook and with Walker. And then who else did he mention? Yeah, Dotson, I thought was a great value pick there that he managed to get. Ojabo, he's going to miss the season, as we said, but could be incredible. And then has he picked another one after that? Sorry.
Yeah, so he's just picked. After that one, no, I think after Ojabo, it's just the player he's just picked now. So Jermaine Johnson. the
good pick.
the edge guy from the Jets, who obviously went at the back end of the first round. So
No, I like that.
I think it's a really good pick. I think he's higher on my board than some of the other edge players that have gone in this draft so far. So I think it's a good pick. That.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. And then the second quarterback off the board. Sorry, he was my top quarterback, Desmond Ridder. I couldn't really see myself ever taking him, but yeah, I like that as a pick for Ash. Though.
Yeah, I think he's got a chance, hasn't he, to play this year? I think I'm not so sure I'm that high on him, to be perfectly honest. He is the quarterback that I took in the Devy draft, just because he was still there. He was the only one of the top sort of 4 or 5 quarterbacks that was still there, and I had the last pick. I made him Mr. Irrelevant in that pick, in that draft, and I think he's got a chance to play this year at some point, potentially. But I don't know if I see him as a starting quarterback. I'll be honest with you. I think the level
he's done to the 6th round now. He's at work, so he's probably just going to stick it on auto pick for his 6th round pick, which I know we had a bit of drama earlier on, but I'm fine with that given his situation.
Yeah. No, totally fine, Ash. I understand.
Set a queue anyway, so
yeah, no bother.
But yeah, I agree with Ridder. He's got an opportunity potentially. It's a dart throw. I like him as a person. He's come out very well in all the draft process. His article he wrote for the Players Tribune I thought was incredible. He's got all those leadership traits. He was sort of a bit, and he's clearly not this good, but a bit Josh Allen-esque. His accuracy in college was kind of all over the place, but very athletic and had all the tools. So
yeah, it's an interesting one because, like you say, from a personal point of view, as a person, he seems great, and I think he'll be a great pro. I just don't see that he has anything that reminds or that makes me think he's an NFL starter. I really don't. I think he's somebody that I can imagine being a fantastic backup and play some games and win some games, but I don't know if I see him as a starting quarterback. The level of competition at Cincinnati wasn't great, and whenever he did step up to play somebody a bit better, he just didn't look the same for me. And that he looked really out of place in the college playoffs, I thought, and that kind of worried me a little bit. So we'll see. But then again, like I said, in this draft, if you want to take a swing at a young quarterback, they're all much of the same. So.
They're very similar out there.
I think, but this is the right kind of after Pickett. This is the right sort of position in this draft of ours to be starting to take those dart throws. I think so.
I mean, I'm imagining we'll probably see Willis, Howell, Corral maybe start to come off the board now. I think there might be a little bit of a run. I mean, I might be completely incorrect, but it's what you tend to see. And like you said, it's the right time to be doing it and just take a punt, really. So
I think so. So what? Girth's on the board at the minute. Let me ever see what he's done so far. So he's taken Jameson Williams and Alec Pierce so far. So 2 wideouts.
I don't think Girth will be taking a QB. He's fairly set at QB. It'll be interesting to see where he does go. I think with his squad, it's very strong at the moment, so he can probably just go best player available at this point.
Yeah, and I think to be honest, I think that's not a bad shout for unless you've got any glaring needs. I think outside of the first couple of rounds in a rookie draft, I think we probably should be doing that personally. Best player available and see where it gets you.
Because I was possibly going to be a bit of a thinking sort of that way. I had Karlaftis next on my board coming into the 4th round, and if Adam hadn't, if, let's say just for instance he lasted to me, would I have taken Karlaftis as well? I would have taken 2 edge in quick succession, or would I have gone Zamir White? I don't know. I'd have had something to think about. I had Karlaftis about 10 spots ahead on my board, but in reality,
I think for me that decision would have depended on your taxi squad and whether you can stash one of them, I guess, for a little bit, because you're probably not going to keep both of them in your active roster, are you? So if you've got if you could have made one of them stay on the taxi, I think probably do that. But otherwise, like you say, it might have been the better move to maybe go somewhere else. But
Yeah.
So yeah, let's have a look on my side now. So 2 wideouts, a running back and a tight end. Where am I going to go next? Any big surprises left on your list that's still there? What's your highest rated player that's still there?
My highest rated player that is still available is number 26. In fact, I have 26, 27, and 28 are available.
Right.
So that's round end of round 3, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got one that I have quite high that I've not seen drafted in any other fantasy league.
Right, okay.
So I'm probably not going to draft him just because I think I'll probably be able to pick him up as a free agent afterwards.
Yeah.
But he's number 24 on my board. But as I say, I've not seen him drafted anywhere else. So probably going to let. Do we need to give Girth a nudge?
He's in.
Oh, is he? It's not showing as him being there on mine.
Oh, I think he was when I just looked. I will just have another look. Yeah, he's in. He's got a green dot on the mobile app.
Oh, really?
I can text him anyway. I'll just text him. We can always pause it briefly if we need to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If we need to, I'll pause it. And because I know, again, I think he was potentially struggling for time tonight, wasn't he? So he might just need us to pause it for a few minutes.
Yeah, I've just again sent him a message direct, so
okay,
we can let it run down. But he's showing green, but it just depends if he's got the app open or I don't know. I don't know how it works. But
what are you thinking now with your team then? Are you thinking you've got, let's have a look what you've picked.
Very happy actually. So I've took Breece Hall at 1-1. I took Drake London at 1-3. Took Kayvon Thibodeau at 2-10. Devin Lloyd at 3-8. Zamir White at 4-6. So I think I'm just going to go whoever is. Did not know you could do that as a feature. I think I'm just going to go whoever is top of my board, regardless of position, really, at the moment. So
yeah.
I've got a wide receiver and another linebacker next. So we'll see where people. I mean, I don't pick for another 9 picks, so anything can happen at this point.
Yeah, I'm interested. I think I know where I'm going to look to go next, position-wise. There's still somebody who I rate quite highly. I don't think he's landed in a very good spot, but I rate him quite highly. So I think he's probably going to be my next pick if he is still there. So I hope that nobody else steals him before my next pick.
Yeah, I might want to pause this then. He's not read his messages.
I've just paused it. See if. Oh, he's just jumped back online now, I think.
Can he pick while it's paused? I guess he probably can.
I don't think so. So okay. I will.
Oh, he's on it now. Cool. He's on it now. Cool.
Yeah, it resets. So if he's here, then that's fine.
Oh, good. No, he is. He is.
Yeah. Cool.
Excellent.
So then after Girth picks, we go to Adam. So what does Adam's draft look like currently? So Adam's taken Trayvon Walker, Wan'Dale Robinson, and George Karlaftis. So 2 defensive players, 1 offensive player. Yeah, I haven't gone. I don't think I've picked a defensive player so far in either of my drafts. I think it's so difficult to spot fantasy worthy talent.
Sorry, David Bell was going to be. He was the next next player on my board. So.
Oh really?
I had him at 26. I'm guessing he wasn't on your board because of where he plays, Mark.
He was. He was at number 35 on my board, but I thought very hard about not having him on my board and removing him because, I don't know. I think I see a wide receiver 3 in the NFL, and I just don't know how valuable they are in fantasy. I don't see him as being a number 1 wide receiver, and I don't think he's athletic enough to be kind of like a gadgety, speedy wide receiver. So I don't know. I'm not that high on him really, personally. And obviously, he's gone to Cleveland, so not interested in Cleveland Browns players moving forward for the foreseeable.
Oh, another tight end for Chrissy. And Sean has taken my next LB as well. So that's interesting. It's interesting because we were in the Devy draft. Sean and I were having a bit of a chat and about who we were going to take next. And I'd said, Nakobe Dean's the next rated linebacker on my board. So I don't know if he's saved a little nugget there. So if you have fair play, you've got to use the information that you get, haven't you? So
absolutely.
Well played, Mr. Matic.
He was absolutely amazing in college. I think he's probably going to be very good in the NFL. And I think linebackers, certainly kind of middle linebackers, off-ball linebackers, who get you a lot of tackles, can be very valuable in fantasy football. So if he starts and plays well, I think there's very much the opportunity for him to score points. Yeah.
No, I agree. Good pick. And I did like Greg Dulcich as well.
I think
not the worst landing spot either for him. I know everybody seems to love Albert O at the moment, but
I don't see that.
He's been massively overrated for my money. So,
yeah, I agree. I think he's a really good landing spot. I think he was very high on my board to start with. I think I mentioned him quite a while back because I think I told you about Zach Charbonnet at UCLA, the running back.
Yeah.
At the start of last year, I kind of showed you some clips and was mentioning him on one of the podcasts, maybe even. And so I was watching quite a bit of UCLA, and that's where Dulcich played at tight end. So I think he's a great player. And I think he was somebody that I was probably going to look to take later on in this round. So she's done me like a kipper there.
It's so difficult to hit on tight end, isn't it? So if you've still got a player on your board and just have a go at them and just throw a couple of
And the thing is, we might end up having to do a bit of business, me and Chrissy, on tight ends because she's already got Pat Freiermuth in her team. So we might end up having to do a bit of business. We'll see.
And then the quarterback run has started. So Malik Willis went to Adam with the first pick, and then Sam Howell has just gone.
And I'm not going to lie, I'm annoyed at Sam Howell going because that was probably going to be my next pick. He's my number 1 quarterback in this class.
Yeah, I'm guessing you watched a lot of North Carolina.
I've seen what he can do when you put some players around him. When he's
got NFL caliber play, when he's got Michael Carter and he's got Devontae Williams and
what he showed this year for me was a different side to his game where he literally put his team on his back and he dragged them to like 6 wins when really that team was a 2-win team. And I think he's such a great character and a real sort of I think he's a great guy, and I think ultimately Wentz will fuck it up and Sam Howell will get a chance. Simple as that.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gutted. That's That's a great pick by Kutch there. I'm truly annoyed about that, to be honest.
Well done, Kutch. You, I think Kutch. Well, I think Ash is probably.
Laughing at me. Thanks, mate. Don't know. Maybe there's a little bit of business to do, Kutch, after the draft. Who knows? We'll see. This is probably where he just sends me a fingers emoji or something. Wow, right.
Now, then.
See, that's an interesting pick.
Quay Walker or Quay Walker.
Quay Walker, yeah, that's a really interesting pick. Could end up being the best linebacker in this, off the ball linebacker in this class for me, potentially. But also could be nothing. I think he's another one of these boom or busts. I think he's definitely on my board and somebody I was hoping that might end up being an undrafted free agent so I could pick up. Very much think there's some potential there. Right, I'm going to do a little bit of a reach here, I think, because there's nobody really on my board that... There's two people I want to pick with my next two picks, and it's getting the order right. And I think given the run on quarterbacks, I think I'm going to have to take my number 2 quarterback because he's still there. And
Bailey Zapp. Wow, didn't think he'd go in this draft.
Carson, no legs strong. No, it's neither of those, sadly.
I know who it is.
So as I said, my number 2 quarterback, and I think the quarterback that's going to get on the field second in this class, because there's no way Sam Darnold plays more than 1 quarter of football because he's horrific. And so I think Corral will get on the field early, and then we will see whether he can do anything at the NFL level.
He's got a chance, hasn't he? Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. So I've got to hope now that my other player makes it back to me in the next round.
So we're back to Girth now, who is showing as being active. On both of them this time. So hopefully he's been keeping track of it.
So again, we've got Jameson Williams, we've got Alec Pierce, so 3 wide receivers. So I'm not expecting him to take another wide receiver, I guess, unless he's got somebody that's a standout best player available. Which could well be, given the depth in wide receiver this year. I think there is still one more that is fairly high on my board, but I've taken enough.
My next wide receiver is 41 on my board. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's one more that I like. He's the one that's probably a lot lower on the consensus. And again, I might try and get him as an undrafted free agent potentially.
Are we? That's a point. We need to be careful when we open up waivers, I think. I don't know what the deal is with the rookies and everything, but if Ash is at work and if Girth's struggling, do they go on waivers or do they just become free agents?
They just become free agents. So in theory, people can do whatever they like after the draft.
Right.
If we think that might not be the fairest way to do it, what I'll do is I can go into the settings now and block all free agent things until we agree a time to open things.
I think that might be fairer.
Yeah.
I just think that just to give, poor Ash is doing a night shift and maybe a couple of people that won't be focusing on it. So if we agree, we open it at, I don't know, 6 o'clock tomorrow, for instance.
Yeah, well, what I'll do, I'll block it for now and lock all free agent and waiver moves. Yeah, I'll do that now so that, they're locked after the draft and it's not just going to be a free-for-all for us that are here now. And I'll check in with everybody tomorrow and agree a time to switch it on tomorrow.
Okay.
It's a good call.
So we've got Keontae Ingram going off the
board. Oh,
board.
you are joking me, Girth, you swine. You absolute swine.
Either one.
Oh, literally. I wonder if I'd have gone Ingram at my pick, whether Corral would have gone straight away. Oh, that's so frustrating. Great pick, Girth.
You will never know.
Oh, so gutted. Yeah, he was the guy who I was talking about, whereby I think he's not landed necessarily in the greatest of spots, but I think his tape at times blew me away. I thought he looked amazing. Yeah, oh God, I'm gutted.
Well, my 28th best player is still available at this point, who I'm going to take, and I think this is nothing can be considered a reach at this stage of the draft, but this will surprise some people because I think he's probably gone undrafted. But I'm a big fan, so I'm
28th player. 28th.
28th, yeah. So this would probably surprise some people. Just to sort of prejudge it, I did have a mild panic when I saw the colour of Ash's pick and the position it was at. But my player is still there, even though it's not ticked over to me on my app yet. So I'm just going to have to leave the draft room.
Oh, really? Yeah, you've been on the clock a minute and a half, according to mine.
Yeah, it's just not even ticked over. Right, we're on it now. So I will go ahead and take...
Who on earth could this be? Oh, I know who it's going to be. Is it going to be the other Baltimore tight end?
It is. I mean, you would think that might be likely, but it isn't. A little joke there for you.
A little joke. Ah, okay.
So yeah, I genuinely considered taking him at 3 in the 3rd round because I did want him, but I'm happy.
Yeah, well, he's got a lot of hype in the fantasy circles that I listen to, but I never really got it from the tape I watched personally. But I think he's landed in a decent spot.
His landing spot is very good. That did bump him up quite a lot. Sort of been at the Colts and everything. He's got Mo Alley-Cox ahead of him. They've got Kylan Granson on the roster. They've not really got a lot going on there. So I think he has a chance to see the field fairly early. And at this point, it's just a bit of a luxury pick, to be honest. Happy with where I've gone so far. Excellent. Excellent. I'm very, very pleased about that then. Oh, well, you know, I'm always open to trade offers, Adam, so give us a shout.
I've been on the wrong end of that, so that's why I enjoyed that a lot, that comment. Whereas you've been the person stealing the player there, so...
I don't think anybody's really sniped me to. I mean, Kyle Hamilton, but actually the way that worked out, I'm very pleased with because I was able to trade out of that Mechie pick, and then sort of, you know, I ended up getting Zamir White, who I probably wouldn't have got otherwise. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with the way it's fallen so far. And then it's my final pick after this one, which. I'm going to go with that actually.
So Girth's back on the clock. Let's have a look at remind ourselves where he's gone so far. So Jameis Williams, the 3 wide receivers, and then he stole Keontae Ingram from me. Oh, you swine! Right. And the thing is, as well, because I really need like a third. I need a running back. I've got 2 stud running backs. I need a 3rd running back. And obviously I'm very high on Rachaad White, number 1 player on my board. But I don't see him as being sort of an every down back, certainly not early. So I was hoping that Ingram would kind of give me that potential, that sort of second throw of the dart, if you like.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I've got any other running backs on my board now after him. No, I don't. Literally all my running backs have gone now, which is not great. I've got 1 wide receiver, and then I've got 1 defensive player, I think, that I'm still quite high on. But I was hoping to not have to draft it.
I think at this stage, it just drafting.
It doesn't. Yeah, exactly. What I meant was that I was hoping to get somebody higher on my board and not.
Oh, sorry. I see what you mean. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, if there's nobody else, then yeah, I'll obviously take him. But yeah. So Ash did me on Chris Olave, and Girth done me on Keontae Ingram.
I don't think I had Ingram on my board, to be honest. No, I didn't.
He was a late addition. I came to him very late, like within the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Right. Okay.
But then once I saw his tape, I was like kind of smitten with him, really. I thought, and again, that he would have been high. I would have considered taking him higher if the consensus board had kind of shown him going, but he wasn't going in a lot of drafts until late or whatever. So I was hoping I could get him, with that 6th round pick, but not to be.
Not to be.
Not to be at all. So we're into round 6. Rob is on the board. Let's
switched up
ourselves
over
what he's done. So all of his draft wheeling and dealing has led him to Breece Hall, 101, Drake London, 103, Kayvon Thibodeau in the 2nd, Devin Lloyd in the 3rd, Zamir White in the 4th, Jelani Woods in the 5th. Tight end from Indianapolis. And then, what are you thinking? Where's your head?
Not really too bothered, to be honest. I don't think I can really lose here. I'm not really too asked. I mean, so I'm just looking at my board, really. My number 30 is still available, but that's an edge. So I'm just gonna leave that. I don't really feel like I need to get that. My next player would be a linebacker who I'm tempted with. I do quite like. I don't know how much cover I need in that particular area, really, given my previous picks as well. So the linebacker is tempting me, to be fair. What did I do then? Nearly drafted somebody I didn't want to. Excellent. I don't know. I'm kind of might take a bit of a punt on somebody here from a bit lower down my board and a bit of a wild guess.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really know. It won't take ages because I'm generally not that bothered. I am going to go with. So it's probably between 2 wide receivers, I think, to be honest. At this point, let's just throw a dart.
Okay.
There are 2 that are sort of fairly close in my rankings.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, they're next to each other in my nearly.
You know what?
Yeah, I know. They're literally very, very close. They're both pretty much exactly the same age. They've both landed in reasonable situations. I'm going to take a bet on the talent here because I'm just going to do it. I think. So
I think I know where you're going.
I think you probably do.
Oh no!
I was going to go with Khalil Shakir. Was the other one that I was considering.
All right.
But I just thought I know Ross. He's landed a very good spot. He was an undrafted free agent. I get that. I don't know if I'd have been able to pick him up afterwards. I'm not particularly bothered, but again, he's another one that injuries have just derailed him and caused him to fall. But the talent he had before that was astronomical. So at this stage, I'll reach for the upside, and if he never plays a down, I'm not bothered. But I'll have a punt on him at this point. I think
he did. I think did he not go in like round 2 or round 3 of our other league?
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, I think somebody's maybe seen a few of his games at Clemson, seen him land in Kansas City, and doesn't know anything else about him. Maybe because I thought he went very, very high in that league. But yeah, I mean, if he can learn the playbook in Kansas City, he'll get thrown the ball. Simple as that. So Calvin Austin, I think that's a great pick in round 6.
Yeah, that is a good pick. Yeah.
Again, bit of a crowded wide receiver room, but very good player. And I don't see all of those wide receivers staying after next season. I think Claypool, I can see moving on. So I don't think it's going to be as crowded maybe in a year's time. So somebody to probably stash for a season and see what happens. But great value in round 6.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Sean's on the clock. What are we going to do here, Sean? Sean's not in the draft room at the moment, I don't think. Let's have a see where he's gone. Well, he's had quite a few picks, hasn't he? So he's gone when Azai Spiller in the first, Christian Watson with the 201, Aidan Hutchinson, Kyle Hamilton, Derek Stingley, Nakobe Dean. So defensive heavy. So I'd kind of expect him to go offense, but I guess it depends who's left on his board. Do we want to just maybe give him a nudge just to make sure?
He's in now.
Is he? Okay, good.
Well, on my phone he is, but my phone has been a bit bizarre, really.
I think this has to be comment of the night. I'm just going to put it back up.
I love it. I absolutely love it. It means although, to be fair, now I'm doubting myself because if Adam likes them, then they can
Oh, harsh times. Oh, and he's online as well, so we'll have heard that. Yeah, no, Sean's definitely not showing on mine. Let me just send him a quick message.
Yeah. No, he's not actually. Now I've gone into it again, but I don't know what my phone's doing, but there we go.
Now, I don't know if maybe people haven't been listening to the stream because Tom's just made a roster move. I think he's just dropped somebody, and I hope that's not in the hope of being able to pick somebody else up, given that I've paused free agent moves. Oh, no, he's showing us being on now. I think we're okay.
Maybe just after this, just drop a message in the chat. I don't think anybody will have a problem with it. You can always add that player back to it.
Yeah, I will do. Yeah, if he wants me to, I can add that player back. Yeah, that's fine.
Minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, Sean, if you are watching or whatever, you are on the clock. I've just sent you a quick message, but I think you're in now, so see what he does.
More defense. Wow.
Really? Where's he gone? Oh, Chiefs. There's enough Chiefs gone in this draft. Jesus.
Yeah, a lot of Chiefs gone.
So who are we looking at next? So we've got Kutch back on the clock now. So he's gone Pickens, Kyron Williams. We didn't touch on his third pick, did we? Jordan Davis. Somebody who I think, again, from a positional point of view, a little bit scary from fantasy, but I think he's a great player.
We were at the combine; he was unbelievable, wasn't he?
He's a monster, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I think, from an NFL point of view, I think Philadelphia have got themselves a brilliant player. But yeah, I'm not know exactly about fantasy football, to be honest. But
I think Philadelphia in general have done really well this offseason. I see them as
got a lot better, haven't they?
They've massively improved. I love that they've built around Jalen Hurts and sort of put him in a position to succeed. Not only have they done that though, but they've got the picks next year if needed. If they do want to make a move and move up to quarterback, they can do that as well. So I think they've manoeuvred themselves very well there. Howie Roseman's done a great job.
I was just about to say though that the only thing that I guess would slightly concern me is if they do too well this year, but then they're not convinced with Hurts. So if they kind of get into that weird position where they maybe win 9 games, get into the playoffs, don't do anything, are they going to be picking early enough to do anything in the draft quarterback wise? That would be my only concern. But I guess you could mortgage your future if you really wanted to go and get that quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't you? So Ebiketie, I'd have taken him. I took him in the other league. He was the edge that was on my board, so I had him 30th on my board, Ebiketie. So I like that as a pick. Coach. And then Pierre Strong, New England running back. New England had a strange draft. Kevin Harris, Pierre Strong. They've already got Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris. Damian Harris in a contract here, but it's quite a loaded. I say loaded, quite a busy running back room. I think is James White still on the books potentially?
Yeah, I think so. It was a really odd pick, and I think it'd be interesting to see what he does. Again, he was another FCS player, wasn't he? Was he South Dakota?
He was one of the. It might have been. Yeah, he was one of the Dakotas. Definitely one of the Dakotas.
Yeah, I think he was South Dakota. I think. So yeah, interesting to see what happens there. Right, my pick, isn't it? I best have a look.
So who have you taken so far then, Mark? If you just want to highlight yourself.
Yeah.
So we've gone Sky Moore in the first round. Then we've gone Rashad White, your number one. Mechie, good value there. Charlie Kolar. Jalen Tolbert, again, good value. Then you went Corral last time when you're thinking you maybe should have gone Ingram, eh?
Well,
I don't think Corral would have made it back to you this time. So if you valued Corral higher than Ingram, it was the right pick, is what I would say.
Well, I don't know if I even did. I just think it was a case of I thought Ingram had the better chance to get back to me. Right. I wanted my cake and to eat it, I think, and maybe I should have took Ingram. But yeah, and now I'm in a position where there's nobody on my board that I want to draft. So I'm going to have to just take somebody who is my kind of number one free agent person that I would take after the draft.
At least you guarantee you're getting them.
And exactly, I'm going to guarantee that I'm going to get that person. It's either that or I go tight end again just to kind of fill my tight end room, because I do need to make sure I land a decent tight end, but I'm not. I'm going to pick the player who, that's if he's still here. Where is he? Yes, he is still here. Yeah, this is a player I think he's my number 3 edge, I think. But he hasn't been going in drafts at all that I've seen. So I got him as a free agent, I think, in the other league.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, yeah, I wouldn't have. Okay.
So, yeah, opposite, he's presumably going to be potentially hard pressed to get on the field, given that they've obviously got Hutchinson in the same draft. But I think he's an all-round player. He reminds me a lot of, from a Chiefs point of view, the edge that was on the opposite side of Tom Bahali, Justin Houston. He reminds me a lot of Justin Houston. A big, strong edge player who, was good off the edge, but could also stop the run. And yeah, just an all-round great kind of defensive player on the edge. I think he's got a real opportunity to play, even though he's going in the same draft as Hutchinson. So, see, now that
he was on my free agent list.
He's a great pick.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick.
To me, and Sean's probably going to think that I'm crapping on him again because I kind of say things about Sean's draft from time to time. But to me, the drop-off in value between Kyle Hamilton and Jaquan Brisker from a fantasy point of view, I think is going to be negligible. And he's got him 3.5 rounds later. I think that's a great pick.
I think that is a really good pick. But yeah, I mean, as I said, I was with Sean. I was probably looking to take Kyle Hamilton. So
I think Hamilton is the better player, but from a fantasy point of view, to get him 3.5 rounds later, I think that's there's so much value there.
I was hoping he made it through. Actually, maybe I should have taken him instead. Actually, but hey ho.
So we've got Gareth double dipping again here, so he can take somebody else. Then we've got Adam, and then we finish it off with Kutch, and everybody's online as well. So we'll be done in a matter of a couple of minutes, I think.
Excellent.
Defense.
He was the other one I was hoping was going to make it through.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's well and truly done you here, hasn't he?
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I'm really not fussed, but yeah.
Yeah. So we've got Adam has taken Weidemeyer. Somebody you were high on early doors in the
before the season even started, I think, just from his previous season. But then he's not had the best season. He was awful at the combine, wasn't he? He just fell right out of the draft, and then he's maybe landed in a good spot at the Bills if he can stick on the roster. I just think there's some massive red flags. But when you're taking somebody at pick
Yeah.
6-9 with a draft. I mean, just take a punt and if it
Yeah.
works out, it works out.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I was high on him at the start of the season. I think he was my top-rated tight end, but he's just plummeted really. So yeah. No,
And then Girth to finish us off. Where's he gone so far? Let me have a quick look. Oh yeah, keep doing this. Don't have the 3 wide receivers, then Ingram, then Maffei. Maffei's an interesting one. He was high on my board from an edge point of view. Really liked him, and I was thinking that he might have been a target of the Chiefs in the first round when they picked Karlaftis. So interesting. It'll be somebody I'll be watching in Seattle to see what he can do. Boye Maffei.
Yeah.
Yeah. So decisions. Final pick. How many players are you going to be looking to pick up as undrafted free agents then? Is there anybody you still high on or not?
Yeah, there's one that I would be interested in picking up, I think. Who was my let me just flick over. He was my 36. So potentially.
Yeah. I think I'm all out, to be honest. I don't think I'll be doing any more business.
I may do, I may not. I'll have a little look at my
unless Girth wants to maybe do some business with Ingram.
We will see. Right, enjoyed that anyway. It was
Christian Harris. Boom, there we go.
Yeah, it's a good pick. He was on my board. He was at the bottom end of my board, but he just sort of snuck on to the end of it. So
Alabama linebacker, right?
I don't know, Mark, to be
I think so.
really honest.
I think so. Right, so there we go. Won't necessarily do a recap or anything at this point. I think we've been on long enough, and nobody's going to be watching in reality anyway. So we'll maybe pick it up another time when we're bored in the off season and talk about it or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, thanks for that, guys. Hopefully everyone's pleased with what they got. Yeah, we'll kind of conclude the show there unless you've got anything you want to say, Rob.
No, really enjoyed that. It's one of my favourite times when we're doing these drafts. So yeah, thanks for all the comments. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for interaction. It's made it a lot more interesting than just sitting in a room drafting on your own. So yeah, enjoyed it.
All right, and with that, we'll call it a day. So we'll see you all later.
See you later, guys.
All right, bye.